Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today and celebrating our Black History event. Today we have Capturing the Culture in Stained Glass, featuring Theodore Feaster, the artist, and his wife, Donna Feaster. Now, today is a very special occasion to have this art talk, is because it's our first TED Talk, because it's TED Talking. So we're looking forward to learning a lot about the cultural influences that we have brought into the art form of stained glass. Ted, Donna?
Okay, thank you. Moving right along, my name is Donna Feaster. I'm a nurse by trade, and also the lovely wife of Theodore Feaster. We've been married over 40 plus years. Donna has been with Theodore through this whole collaborative partnership of stained glass, working side by side through this journey, and I am your host for the evening. Okay, Theodore the artist. Theodore was born and raised on the south side of Chicago in the Bronzeville community, which he still calls home today. Theodore grew up in Ida B. Wells Housing Project and attended Doolittle Elementary School and Wendell Phillips High School. Go Wildcats. After high school, Theodore went on to attend St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota, where he graduated with a Bachelor's of Art in Political Science and Urban Studies. In 1992, Theodore and Donna purchased the 1887 red brick townhome. During the course of rehabbing their home, he noticed broken windows throughout the house. These were stained glass windows, and he realized that he wanted to either get a quote on them, which he did, and the quote was not a quote that he cared for. So he decided, hey, I'll fix it myself. So Theodore sought out classes, and he sought out classes, and believe it or not, right there in Bronzeville at Kennecott Park, Pete Wade was a master craftsman at stained glass. So Theodore took the class, and voila, this is how the journey begins. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, now we're going to have Mr. Feaster to get up and give us a historical perspective of stained glass.
I'll take the mic with me. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, we're talking about stained glass. First about the glass coming from Africa originally, then up to Egypt, and then to Europe. Okay. Now the Europeans perfected the, excuse me, am I close enough? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not used to talking in one of these, okay. Okay, the Europeans used it in basically cathedrals, churches, that type of thing. Now one of the ways that they did it, they did stained glass, but as you know, this is a combination of stained glass and painting. The faces were always painted and the clothing was painted. The part that was stained glass was the whole arm, the whole body, or half the body, that type of thing. So it was basically painted and put in lead like your traditional stained glass. As you can see on this side, this is all stained glass. There is no paint. The eyeballs are even done in stained glass, because you can see the difference in the whites and everything, and the different sections. Each one is his own section. It's his own color. Using the glass to reflect sunlight or to imply sunlight. So that's all 100% stained glass, whereas here, the stained glass is just in general form. The form of the body and the shape of the head, or in these cases, the shape of the halo. Let me put it that way. Okay, but everything else is painted. But here, this is all stained glass. Okay, so stained glass. What you say? Oh, okay, so stained glass Started off that way, then they started putting in houses and buildings and that type of thing all through Europe, Europe first, and then the United States and some South America and Asia and everywhere else. My wife said, I started doing stained glass because of the stained glass in our house, which was built in the 1870s. And it had really nice stained glass, broken, but nice stained glass, okay? And so, like I saw when I met Pete Wade, closer, okay. When I met Pete Wade, he was handing out flyers for stained glass class. So I just wanted to repair it. I had no intention of doing what I'm doing now. I just wanted to learn how to fix my glass and cut out one of the middlemen that I had to pay. You know, I'm paying people for everything in them old houses. Yeah. So I asked him, now if I take your class, will I learn how to repair my stained glass? I don't just want to make it, I want to know how to repair it. He said, you know how to make it, repair it, do whatever you want. I took him at his word, he was correct. And so I really got into it with him. And, did you want me to just talk about this? Mm-hmm. Let me talk, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Okay. Okay, this was a piece of stained glass that was found in Rhode Island. And as you can see, the face was painted brown. Normally, what you saw was what we saw before at the churches, you know. This was one of the first depictions that we know of where they depicted Jesus as being black. See? Normally, this would be all white, as we saw in the last pictures, but here we see that, you know, it's the oldest known example, public example, stained glass depicting Christ as a person of color. That's in St. Mark's. That's Church 1878. Okay. Wow. So this is stained glass we created and completed. And as you saw, we got every complexion in the world up there, okay? We included everybody. And so it was my impression of the Last Supper. Here, the crucifixion. Also, also of Jesus Christ on the cross. And we wanted to depict that in a colorful way and also show, I'm not trying to trip anybody out, but showing blood. Because if you get nailed to a cross, you're gonna bleed. So this is where I use paint. I normally don't use paint on stained glass. But in certain situations I will. This is one situation though I did. And now I talked about the lady. Okay, she has a head wrap. I'm really interested in women's clothing because my mother was a seamstress. So I used to see a lot of her making dresses, skirts, that type of thing, and saw a lot. And I had two older sisters too. So I've seen them wrapping scarves and stuff. You know, I thought it was a waste of time because I'm the youngest in the family. And I thought it was a waste of time at the time. But now I see what they mean by it. So when I was trying to do this, I would think about them and I remember seeing these things because this was something that I thought about, you know, as far as head wraps and that type of thing. And a lot of people don't think about stuff like that, but when you turn them in, you can add different colors on them and different shades of it. So that's something we did there. Now this is my favorite piece. This is mine, by Miles Davis. I'm into jazz, and Miles, was he the first jazz artist I did? Okay, but he wasn't squatting. That's my favorite pose. This was my worst. I was about to do this pose of Miles, but only real fans of Miles know what that means. You know? But this was one of my favorites, and actually I've done about more than 10 of them in various sizes and they're all different, various shapes, various suits, purple suit, green suit, different ties, you know, that type of thing. Because once any jazz person sees that, they want a Miles. And you know, I got tired of making Miles for a while, you know. But they were all different sizes and everything. It makes each one unique. Here's the Thelonious Monk. Now, this was one of my earlier pieces too, and this one was mine. See, I can make some for other people, but certain ones, they mine. You know? And I stayed. And this is Dizzy Gillespie. I've done a lot of Dizzy with the Kofi, without the Kofi, doing various things also. And that's, well, that was for sale though, because I've got
How
quite a
much
bit
is
of
that one,
Donna's the salesman.
Oh,
she
that's right.
got that
I
info.
forgot.
Uh-huh. She's got that info. I stay in my lane. See, I'm the one get cut and bleed over this, but you know, she take care of that. Mhm.
All right.
You can move on. This is one somebody commissioned to, and we thought he was stone crazy. You know? I remember the scene. He said Billie Holiday in Lady Sings the Blues when she was shooting up, and I'm saying, what? You know, in stained glass? I mean, this is how I said it too. In stained glass? I started thinking, this man weird. You know, I mean, any artist challenged, anybody challenged, you want to meet that challenge. But, you know, I thought it was weird. But as it went on and on, it looked better and better. To the time we finished, it was what everybody wanted. Because when he first showed this, we showed this at a show, and people just thought, they know what she was doing. Then they say, oh, she's sitting on the toilet. Then they get up and they see the the syringe on her lap. Then they say, what? And then that's not what you think of when you think about stained glass. You're not thinking about somebody with a syringe in their lap, you know, and a little rub around their arm, you know, making them veins pop. But this is the only one I've done like that. For some perverted person. You know? Now, this one's more of my line. Her singing with the band playing. And I'm gonna also tell you about why this person only wanted this guy's hand shown. He's the one turned her on the drugs, so his face can't be in the picture. So they recommended that just the hands. I said, well, normally you always had, I don't want his face in there. I said, okay, you know. So, you know, that's how that is. But I really, these are the type of things, and like I said before, my mother was a seamstress, so I like to do dresses and things like that in glass, you know. You can go ahead. Okay, I guess y'all can guess where these came from. When my man got killed up in Minnesota, I was looking at all the signs. I've always looked at signs at protest marches and things like that. And I was thinking about, you know, doing a fist anyway for something else. And this is just a sample of what we did. We did a bunch of them with different sayings on them. These are the ones we just took pictures of, you know. And this is one I had to do for a friend of mine who's from Memphis, classmate from college. He had just got his PhD too, so, you know, it was cool. And so he had to have one, I Am a Man, from 1968. And he said, do you remember that? I said, of course I do. I was watching it on TV, you know. And I actually remember that sign because it's in a lot of books too, you know. So I did this one, I Can't Breathe, and say her name. I had to put something in there for the sisters now, okay? All right, now the complete chauvinist. All right, y'all can move it on.
Mr. Feaster, the fist was also designed for your alma mater, St. Olaf College.
Well, I did one for St. Olaf
Yes,
College, yeah.
the Black House at St. Olaf College was the first fist that he designed. And he also did another stained glass piece that the president of the college put in his transom at the college. So St. Olaf wrote up a nice piece regarding Mr. Feaster and his stained glass. So you can go Google Theodore Feaster and see the piece from St. Olaf College.
I forgot about it. I'm getting older, what can I say? But yeah, and I've also done some for various college mates and stuff, sent around the country and that type of thing. These are masks. I've done a lot of masks, and in fact, I'm always looking for more masks to do because they're fun. Because you can play with the colors with these. And these are 2 African masks, and actually, this was the first one, wasn't it? Yeah, it's one of the first ones. And as you can see, I did some others, but I've done dozens of masks. I don't even recall how many. But this is another way to express things in color and in glass, because they sell and people are really interested. And then too, I run into some people who know what type of mask it is, because I forget. And they remember and they tell me what type of mask, where it comes from, and that type of thing. Now this is a commission job we did for a lady in South Suburbs. She wanted the continent of Africa on her door. She was having a custom-made door. And I've worked with some guys who do that. And what she wanted was half of the continent on one side, on one door, and the other half on the other side. And that's how it turned out. We put it in red, black, green, and gold. Because that's South Africa, okay? So that's how that turned out, and that's the finished product. We used a lot of aqua blue around the surroundings of Madagascar too. And we use darker blues here and lighter blues right around the continent. And of course, there's Tupac with all of his tattoos. We did this as a commission job. My person had to tell me about all the tats that he had because I didn't know anything about all of that. And they, wrote him out and showed me all the tattoos, Thug Life, niggas with a automatic weapon, To Die For, Tupac. And so it came out pretty well, so I had to make one for me too. I made a couple of them because one of his was broken in a move. And I had to explain to him, when you move your glass. You don't let the mover move your glass. You move your glass, okay? So I made him another one, okay? So he's happy now, but that one is in my room, in my house, I believe. But it's for sale too. Okay, next. And these are portraits of women. Again, like I say, my mother was a seamstress, so I got a feel for women when they're wearing scarves and things, and how to play them, and where to put the darkness and stuff. Because my mother, I used to lay on the floor watching TV while she was being a seamstress, and you don't think you're learning anything. I didn't think I was learning anything, to be perfectly honest with you, but I was picking up things subconsciously that helps me as far as doing scarves, doing women's clothing and things like that. Because I was usually laying on the floor watching them do it, So, and it just shows you the different women from the diaspora, and I like to concentrate on those pretty brown eyes. Go ahead. Oh, now, this is the creme de la creme. This is done by Donna Feaster.
Wow.
Okay.
Fabulous, Donna.
Oh, excuse me. Can I talk about my sisters first? Oh.
Okay, so now you see landscape. Being around this man, I have figured out we have so many pieces of glass. What can we do with the extra pieces of glass that you have that you don't put in a figurative form? So my husband got really smart. He said, you know what? I'm gonna grind these pieces so that you don't cut your hands. They're nice and smooth, and you come up with something. So I said, okay, I'm gonna take your already created pattern and recreate your stained glass in abstract. So this is a monochromatic skyline, Chicago skyline. I took his pattern, I took all the clears that we had, and I systematically put it together. And believe me, when I say stained glass is hard, it's hard. It was very hard to do because he was constantly telling me, that's not the right scale. Is that gonna fit properly? Will I be able to solder that? Will I be able to do that? I had to make sure that every piece of glass that's in this landscape would be proportioned to the size so that he could do the necessary tools to pull it together. So this is more of a collaboration versus me doing it all by myself. Everything you see in abstract is a collaboration between me and my husband, us working together as a team, sitting there in the dining room table, putting these pieces together, and him actually bringing it to fruition and to the beauty and the luster that you see, the Chicago landscape. Now, the one at the bottom, I'll let him talk about it. This is actually the second piece he ever did out of stained glass. One thing I always found was hilarious. His teacher said, "What are you doing, Theodora? I gave you pictures of cactus." He said, "Oh, that pattern was wet." So I drew out my own pattern. The one thing Theodore has not talked about with the stained glass, every pattern that you see and every pattern that is created by him. You're not gonna find it in a pattern book, and no, your grandmother cannot do it. Here you go, Mr. Fisto.
Okay, thank you very much, dear. Like my wife said, this was actually the second piece I ever did. I was in class, Pete Wade's class, when I did that. Because the first one I did, I made for us, for the wife. And then I started making them for family members while I was in class, so I can have Pete look over it and make sure I was doing it right. So my sister, I asked her what would she like. She's spent 4 or 5 years in Texas, in Austin, Texas. So she wanted the Southwest scene. And then I felt bad, why did I even ask her, you know? I'm from Chicago, you know? I've been down there to visit, but I never really had an idea of the Southwest scene. So that was my idea of Southwest scene. I knew they had cactuses, and I took about, 2 or 3 of Pete's books and found something here and found something there to make something. And my sister loved it because she's deceased now, but her daughter has it in her kitchen. And which is, you know, make me not, you know, I feel good about that she got it, you know, and it's there, okay? And after that, I made one for my other sister, and then I made one for my mother. Because I wanted to, you know, get it straight before I did it for moms. Because moms had to be perfect. And now, since my mother had passed away, I have it in my kitchen, you know, so it reminds me of moms. And I'm happy that my niece has her mother's, and she's proud of it, and then she had me make her some more stuff to go with it, you know, so it has a special place in my heart when I see it. Oh, and this is some of Donna's work. Like she said, you get a lot of pieces with these when you cut glass, and sometimes when you cut them, they come in a nice shape. I'm in perfect shape to be used. So what we decided to do, I didn't want my wife cutting herself. She's the nurse, I'm the bleeder. I want to see some cuts too. That's some new ones. But anyway, what I did, like she said, when they came out in strips, I just grind them on the edge so she can handle them. And, you know, anybody can touch them without having to cut themselves. Whereas when I'm working on glass, I have to be careful when I touch it. I can cut myself just grabbing it, just like that, and say, oh, damn, and then keep going, you know. I'm pissed off initially, but then after a while, get over it, you know. But what I did, and this was like, you know, you find some spare time watching the game stuff. I separated them in colors and things and let her do her thing. Because see, I don't have an abstract mind. I'm figurative. So, I mean, the only thing I would come up with is put them in line, you know, and that's it. And she took it and did what she wanted to and started doing some stuff like this that I, you know, whatever, you know, and I just stayed out of it and let her do her thing. But she's done a lot of those and even more, and now she's got them all over the country. She's done a couple of transoms out for somebody out in California. Was the other one on the East Coast?
That one.
Oh, that was the one, okay. And see, and like what some people thought it was books.
Yeah.
And we tell them, it's what you want it to be. It's yours. No matter what we thought or what we were thinking when we made it, it's yours. Now, if you want me to put some book's name on the side, I can for you, you know. You know what I'm saying? I can paint something on there for you if you want. But the whole object is, everybody doesn't like figurative. Some people like abstract, because abstract, they say you can see every day, you know, and think something different. Whereas if you're looking at a picture, you're looking at that same picture, you might get tired of it. That's what somebody told me. You know, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what somebody told me. But Donna specializes in abstracts, even though I work with it too, because if I don't like the colors, I do her like she does me. That color don't look right. That don't look right. You know, so I get a chance. That don't look right. I don't think they'll go together. You know, and that's payback. You know how it is. You got something, you think you got it right. Who would wear that? You know, especially when a female, and I'm doing a female, and I'm like, you wouldn't wear that? No, I wouldn't wear that. Damn. Well, this ain't you. You know, it's somebody else, you know. But those are the kind of conversations we have, because I bring in, when I'm doing women, I bring in everybody to talk about it. My daughters, you know, what do you think? And then after they tell me, I say, shit, I asked her anything, you know. But
You got abstract on that.
oh, I forgot about them. Okay, yeah, this is one of her abstracts right here. This is the best way to see it versus against the wall
Yeah.
and on the wall. Some people like to hang glass on the wall. Oh, you don't know what that. Now that's her abstract.
Oh, you did that one down? Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. So this abstract, you can actually, it's no pattern for it. It will never be replicated. You will never have this in anyone else's home because it came out of my mind. I sat down and systematically put this together, and my husband thought I was crazy. He like, what are you doing? You need to work from a pattern. I'm like, oh, I'm just freestyling. I got real cocky after I got commissioned for a couple of pieces and thought I didn't need a pattern, and I was just freestyling and doing like the artists do. Never, ever do stained glass without a pattern. You must have a pattern, because you move.
Tell me how long
into-
it took you to do it.
It took me months to put this blue chaos together. And that's what I call it, blue chaos. You can hang it horizontally or vertically. Whatever way your heart or your mind designs.
Don't say
But-
that, John. Let's see.
And see, I do the
Yeah.
framing, and when I put the hooks on for, oh, well, I didn't know where they went. You know, which side is up and down. So, do it on both. I said, okay. Because I had no clue. You know what I'm saying? I had no clue. If it was my abstract, maybe I might have made it look like there's a head, but I had to ask her, where I put the hooks? Do we do them on both sides?
Okay, so this is a figurative mass for 2024. We'll be at the High Park Art Show. So if you want to collect some glass, that's June 1st, 2024. We'll be at High Park. And you'll get to see these lovely pieces that we've created.
Because we created some other ones also. We just didn't want to bring all of them. And between now and then, this is when until I have to do yard work. You know, this is what I'm going to be doing.
But the pieces that Mr. Feaster creates, this is from a pattern, but a pattern that he drew out, not from a pattern that he bought out of a pattern book. And in actual reality, my son is trying to put together all his patterns so we can create pattern books. So futuristically, if you want a Feaster design and you want to try it, you can. And we're thinking about creating it as a coloring book too, because it would be a wonderful way for kids to start expressing their ways to do color, because I have my granddaughters to color a lot of the different mass creations. So we would Xerox this and tell them, okay, put your colors in there. A lot of times
We have to keep working on them there because they get a little carried on.
But Feaster Glassworks is creating their own patterns.
Wonderful.
Okay. The next one is, this is a figurative piece. This piece is called Prayer Warrior. We had a total of 7 or 8, and they all had different hairdos, different praying situation. This is Hope. So Hope is done in blue with the little balls on top, and Ted created all the hair designs. He created everything. I just named them. So this is definitely Theodore Feaster.
That's my experience having older sisters. I have seen so many hairdos. It's wasting so much time on hair. You know, I mean, who cares? I used to say. You know, I'm 10 years younger than my youngest sister. So when they were teenagers, I was like, why are you guys messing with my sisters for? You know, they squares. You know, they waste time on shoes and clothes and hair. You know, stuff like that. Then when and as they told me, don't worry about it, little brother. You'll get older. You know, that's what happened. But that was an experience why I do hair like that, because I've seen so many hairstyles coming and going and that type of thing. And this is our contact information. This is about where you can find, looking for other black stained glass at Howard University, Hampton University, Tuskegee University, and Feaster University on 36 and Lake Park. Okay. So we should be right up there, you know. But, and the National Cathedral of DC. Oh, and Kerry James Marshall's piece. Now he did a piece, but it wasn't all stained glass. It was like stained glass and painted glass. I have nothing against that because I have a paint set. I just scared to use it. When you're around painters, you know, you don't want to mess up. You know what I'm saying? They look at it and see how you can't paint. You know. But I do have paint, and I'm starting to use it more. I did it on a recent piece on a guy's beard, just to put some gray in it. Want him to look like us. You know? You know what I'm saying? See, we can relate to that. If y'all see the piece and y'all see the gray, y'all know, okay, got us covered. So that's my real start on painting. So y'all have to forgive me. Y'all might see more painting in the future, but I'm not really that confident in my painting abilities. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
Okay.
Okay. And I thank everybody.
Questions?
Oh, we have questions.
Yes, I have a question. Let's go back to that weird piece that you were asked to produce.
Okay, we're going back to
What's the
the piece that was commissioned by an individual in the audience.
Oh, someone that will not be named.
That will not be named.
Okay,
And,
yeah.
okay.
All right, so the challenge here for you.
Can you speak into the mic too?
So my question is, when this was then exhibited, what was the response and the reaction, and also what was the name of the piece?
Here, Ted,
Oh, forgot?
you forgot.
I forgot the name of the piece.
Is it worth it?
Oh, is it worth it? And this is what happened when people saw it. They were looking at, you know, while she's sitting on the toilet, you know, and then they walk up. And this is everybody, because we sitting up there watching. They walk up to it, and then they say, because they see the syringe and stuff, and then they walk back, and we was big laughing, and they said, I ain't never seen nothing like this stained glass. With this stained glass, it wasn't supposed to be serious, you know, and that's the way they took it, everybody. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, to answer that question, being a bystander and not doing the stained glass at the particular time, when the individual commissioned him to do this piece, I thought this was the darkest piece anybody could ever do, and why would they want this in their house?
I thought the same thing.
So the bottom line is, once the piece was created, it was a brilliant piece, because what he's not talking about is how he layered the dress that Billie Holiday had on at the time. The dress is layered, meaning that she had to take it off, me being a health professional, being a nurse, in order to inject herself with the heroin. Mr. Feaster created the ambiance of that whole scene by, number one, showing how she was sitting on the toilet inside a bathroom. This is the toilet compartment. This is the toilet seat. This is where you can see the box, and that you can also see where you can flush. How many people can create that in stained glass? I mean, yes, in paintings you can create that, but to create that in stained glass and to put a syringe on top of the dress, that was my piece, okay? But
She's a nurse.
you know, but to actually see her go through the drama that she went through in order to inject herself at that particular time. And this piece up close and in person is wonderful. It is not a dark piece, it is a beautiful piece. The second piece of Lady Sings the Blues.
That's one of my favorite pieces too. It turned out. It didn't start that way.
And the impact of the title.
Is it worth it? And the title itself, Is It Worth It, is something that we can really use in today's time, considering the opioid crisis that we have in so many of our communities. This piece speaks statements. Is it worth it? And at the time she thought it was because she didn't want to get sick. But the piece really, truly, truly gives a great idea to put inside drug treatment centers. You know, is it worth it? You know, no, it's not. At the time you think it is, but it's not. But that piece was a wonderful piece, and I thank the individual who commissioned him to do it.
She thought it was weird too.
He stretched the imagination of the artist, which is my husband, Theodore Feaster. Thank you.
The uniqueness of the influence of your mother as a seamstress really comes through in the second piece, where it looks like, how do you get glass to fall like fabric?
About what? Oh.
Mic to the mouth, please.
About years and years of watching it. My mother was a seamstress before I was born, and my sisters can also, if they wanted to, but they're professional women, so they didn't do that. But they could make their own clothes. My sisters were making their own clothes, and my mother was making their clothes. And actually, my mother made me a suit when I was a kid, and so she had those skills, and I can sew a little bit. I don't, you know, because sometimes when you're in the household, you know how it is. Here, do this. Do what? You know, and don't mess it up. Not with moms, you know. And I had to do little things, and she thought that I should need to, you know how to do certain things, stitch up your pants, do stuff like that. And I didn't agree, you know, because she asked me, well, you know, how you gonna know how to do it? I said, I'm gonna have a wife to do that. I was honest.
Do you?
No. She gives me her stuff to do.
Oh,
Because
You know-
my hand-eye coordination
you
is
had a
better than
question.
hers.
oh,
Go ahead.
oh.
Oh, go ahead.
That too fascinated me about the folds of the dresses, and you showed another piece.
Mhm.
And it brought me, I mean, I was thinking about how the creative process works. You, a little boy on the floor, watching your mother with this fabric. And there was a story in history that it reminded me of. I don't know if you all knew this, but in 1810, about 10,000 Haitians relocated to New Orleans from Cuba, because after the revolution, many of them went to Cuba. And Cuba put them out in 1810 because Spain got into a war with France. It changed the population of New Orleans to all mostly black in 1810. It's never gone down. And most of those women that came were free people of color who were seamstress, who knew how, who were very skilled. And the history book said that they also transformed the fashion in New Orleans because they were so creative. And what they would do, they might wear a very colorful outfit one day, take it home, take it loose, and the next day they remade it into a whole nother outfit. And so it was like fashion just took over the city.
And guess where my mother's people were from?
Where?
Louisiana, Madisonville.
Okay.
All the way out to Madisonville, Lake Charles, they all talk funny. You know?
That's where my mother was from. My people were from Lake Charles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I got cousins.
But
in
everybody in
all
Louisiana
down-
dresses because you had so many people who could sew and they called them modistes.
Mhm. And she
And-
got it from her mother.
Yeah,
she
they
did.
all knew how to, except me, you know, but I had a modiste.
Well, see, I have male cousins
Yeah,
who can, you know,
yeah.
I mean, we ain't waiting on
Everybody can
nobody.
sew.
We can zip up, we can sew stuff because we've had to do it and we've seen people do it. And when you, as a kid, you kind of absorb it. You're not really thinking of it as something you're gonna do for a living, but if you tear some of your stuff, you can fix yourself up just like that, bam. Nothing like it, you know, and like, I never thought I would use it, you know, and I thought, I didn't really think much of it, but you see it every day. And you see
Yeah.
people every day, and then you learn how to do things yourself, and especially on little things, especially if you mess something up and you don't want your mama to see it, so, you know, you can cover yourself, you know, in a lot of things, and talking to relatives, we never thought about it that way, you know, it was just one of those lessons you learn at home by absorbing it, you see it, you know how to string up a needle. Because when you're young, what do old people do? Here, put that, thread that needle, that thread through that needle.
True.
That was my job. They, you know, these people was not like, and you know, as a young person, you go, boop, and you be wondering, what's so hard about this? You know? And then when you
And
get
now you
older,
know.
yeah, you realize, you know, whoa. You know? But when you were younger, they realized my hand skills, our hand skills are better than theirs.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Or you could see better.
Yeah, all the above. I wasn't even wearing glasses then, you know? And I didn't know that, but they were using me. And when they ask you and you do it so many times, you be like, stop bugging me, you know? And you don't think nothing of it, but the thing is, they were using me because of my youth, hand-eye skills. Better do it now, you know, because if they catch me so many years later, I'll be like them, you know? But boom, did it all the time.
Moving on to the next question, Juarez.
Well, it's Demetrius. I would like to know the large pieces, the very large pieces, do you actually travel with them to hang them yourself, your commissioned pieces, that's very large, do you actually travel with them to hang them or?
No, they hang them themselves. Because they're the ones telling me what size and everything, and they did, because I did something for the Donny Gang. Huge window. They had to bring a truck to take it out. Truck to bring it in too, and it was in pieces, but put it back together again, you know.
One more question. I seen your space. How do you get stuff in and out of your space?
Oh man, it's an angle. You come up from up, you know, going down into the basement, and then you know, come down low on the other end, and you take it all the way to the end, and then you open the door on the side, you know, that goes actually into the basement, because what we have is the windows that walk-throughs, and previous owner put a brick wall, shut it there, and put a steel door there, so it's part of our basement. It used to be a walk-through, we could get to the backyard without going to the house.
More power to you.
Well, he did it, you know, but then now I have to come in at another angle, then I have to go in an angle to get it in, and then another angle to get it into the actual basement. And then I can do it.
Okay.
Because one time, was it last year, I had one that sat too long. The guy didn't pick it up, and I was supposed to be doing another job, and I couldn't do it because his piece was covering up my table. And it took about 3 weeks. He came with a station wagon. Come on, man. He went back, then he came back with a minivan. It still wasn't big enough. He had originally brought it in a truck. I said, why did you just bring the damn truck? You know, like you brought it. And eventually he got it with the truck. Now, people got mad at me because I couldn't do their work, but I couldn't do nobody's work with this big piece of glass on my table. I got one table, you know. And so when they finally did it, then I went and got this person's glass, did it, and they were mad at me because it took me so long. And I said, well, I didn't have it that long because for a month I couldn't get to it. But that's business, just doing business with the public, you know.
To answer that question in a couple of sentences. Number one, large-scale pieces are very difficult because we don't have the workspace to achieve all the time. But we had a stained glass piece that was done by a prominent lawyer. We actually were restoring this piece. It took up most of the room in our stained glass room. And it took 5 to 6 people to turn this piece of glass. Because one thing people are not looking at, and my daughter always say, Mom, Dad, you all don't take out your best pieces. Glass is heavy. It's very heavy, and that's why we're really trying to find some apprentice to work, because I'm tired of lifting glass and turning glass and being on the other side trying to carry glass. So large pieces do become a problem. This particular piece where you see the door, it was done in 2 pieces, and it was in our living room on the floor. And so the 2 pieces were done. One side was done, and then the other side was done. The person who commissioned us to do this piece actually thought that the water was black. I'm like, why would we put black in for water? When you look at stained glass on a table or a floor, the pieces look darker. You can't see the true color. So you have to hold it up in light, in front of light or sunlight, in order to see the true brilliancy of stained glass. We had to explain to her over and over again, the water is blue, it's not black. So she finally got the piece in the door, and she said her door is the first door that you see when you come into her cul-de-sac. And she cried every time she said she cries every time she sees a door and she comes into that cul-de-sac, because she knows that's her house. Many houses throughout the Chicagoland area have some of Feaster Glassworks in it, and that's how I really find people's houses. Oh, we got a piece over here on King Drive. Oh, we got a piece over here on Greenwood. Oh, we got a piece over here on Champel. People know our house, because the first thing when we tell them we live so-and-so, so-and-so, they're like, oh my God, you live in the stained glass house. It's nothing but stained glass in the window. So our stained glass pieces are window treatments. You know, a lot of times we don't have curtains, we just have stained glass. And Mr. Feaster does amazing work, and each time he creates a piece, I find some kind of way to put that glass in the window. But you can always come over and help, you know?
No problem.
And some of the best ideas come from people, because I listen to them what they want. You know, I have to get on the same page as they are. He was one of them, you know, because his idea I thought was whack at first, but it turned out to be, you know, one of my favorite pieces. You know, so I had to learn, don't think about what I care about. Listen out, check it out, do it.
Any other questions from the audience?
Yes. I have a question for Madam Feaster.
Ooh.
It looks like you're delving into modernism, and I'm wondering what's next. What other projects do you have on the table, and will you be collaborating with Sir Feaster in the future?
Okay, so the piece that I did for this, the Chicago skyline, I thought that was, you know, one of my most futuristic pieces that I did. This piece right here, which is abstract, unfortunately and fortunately, more people have been commissioning abstract versus figurative. And I'm like, what's going on? You know, they'll come, I have an idea, but I don't want a face. I just want color. And I want something like the transom you did for blah, blah, blah. I'm like, really? You don't want him to do it? And he's like, no, I want you to do it. So futuristically, I have more abstracts that I want to put together based on his patterns. And then too, I'm looking at some of the well-known artists that we have. Mr. Feaster can draw exceptionally well. And it takes him to draw it. And then once he draws it, he figures out how we can cut it up into pieces for stained glass. So I have a piece that's waiting in the woodworks that someone has challenged me to do. And so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it, but I do have a lot of things in mind. You know, some figurative artists, you know, redoing their pieces in a more, what's that, stained glass abstract way, because my brain, I can't draw a stick person, but I can do abstract and put it together. I'm one of those kids who love to color outside the lines, so that's why you see my pieces. Any other questions?
And she has a lot of pieces because of, oh, I left it up there, I'm sorry. Oh, what I always do when I'm working on the pieces, when I break them into those nice sizes, I grind them down so she can handle them, okay? And I got a whole lot of them waiting on her. So she's got, believe me, over the winter, I got them stacked in all different colors. Because when anything I work on, rather, you know, like I say, when they come out like that, I just grind them on the side so she can handle them, so she doesn't cut herself. And she has no excuse for not taking care of business.
Does
Okay,
Madam
I get
Feaster-
plenty of stuff to do.
Excuse me, does Madam Feaster do her own letting?
No. One thing working with lead, you have to think about lead levels, okay? When you are, doing restoration, most restoration, meaning the stained glass that you see in a lot of windows at churches and in the bungalows, are full of lead. If you do not have a large enough open space, that lead can transfer systematically into your system. So you have to have your lead level checked constantly. And so we try to keep the lead pieces and the restoration pieces to a minimum. That's why you see more restoration done with big companies. And then because they have that free-flowing oxygenated space, and their workers are less likely to have elevated lead levels. So I have to watch Mr. Feaster's lead level as well as myself, because lead is not good for the body.
Even though I got into this to fix broken glass, okay? So it's, you know, it's kind of ironic because that's what I wanted to do. Actually, I wanted to save me some money, you know, bottom line. But it turned out to be good for me. But, you know, I still go through the precautions. I have to constantly clean and do everything, because when you first start, you don't necessarily do everything like that. You know, can't eat or drink while you're doing anything. So you have to take care of your necessary precautions.
Good question.
You had raised the issue. You had raised the issue historically, how these images in stained glass have not been representative of our culture. Why is it that you have stepped in to make sure that that gets addressed?
Because it hadn't been addressed in the past, and I wanted to do something different, and we had a lot to offer, a lot of different examples of even numbering things. I've done a number of those now, number of transoms. I've done them with Ankhs. One guy, you know, normally some people like their address, you know, and I can figure out, you know, some nice lettering for them. One guy said, I don't need my address, and I'm like, oh, he don't need his address. Well, you start thinking, is he gonna pay me with a check or what? Want to find him. I mean, why you don't know the address? And then he explained to me that he already had his address in metal, and he wanted an ox symbol, and other African symbols in his transom. Oh, I say okay, and because at first, it sounded weird, but when he showed you what he wanted in his stick people thing, I realized, oh, okay, great idea, really nice. Now it's in my mind. I might do it, something similar, not the same thing, but something similar in a future project, because you learn from your customers. He brought up some stuff that I never thought about, and can work, and a lot of people would probably like it.
And the other reason why we got into Afrocentric stained glass, because you don't see it. When you go to art shows and when you go to churches, you rarely see depiction of people of color. So that was my proposition to my husband when we first got into this. It was to repair the stained glass that we currently have in our home. And our home still has duct tape on the stained glass. The repairs have not been done because
I told her to pay me and I fix it.
So all of this has materialized from that. And so we challenged him. We can you do stained glass that look like us? And he what are you talking about? And we gave him an African mask and put it up in the window, and he replicated it. And we wow. So it's just trying to meet a market that's not there.
And that was after some young brother threw a brick through my window.
But that was...
I had to repair it. That's what I repaired it.
I'd like to take this, what's happening? Hello? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to take this opportunity and then also for this lovely piece of stained glass. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And
I didn't see that little person.
You didn't see that?
behind
You didn't see that person behind me? Okay. But thank you so much for really educating us to the importance of your artistry. And thank you all for coming. And if you still have time to go downstairs and see the exhibit in the gallery, one of his pieces is also in our current exhibition. Thank you all very much for your time today.